Hey guys, Zombie here, and welcome to my first Hades tips and tricks video. This tips and tricks video is targeted towards beginners, so there will be minimal spoilers, nothing you wouldn't see within the first 90 minutes or so contained within this tips and tricks video. There are many things I wish I knew back when I first started this game. As we're watching right now, this is probably my 4th or 5th run ever, and I really didn't know what the heck was going on most of the time. I was just trying to not die, and I didn't really know what the best course of action was. But now that I've beaten the game once, I can more accurately describe what the better course of action is, in my opinion. So, one glaring thing you'll notice is I'm kind of breaking urns for no reason, and that's because at this point I had just unlocked an ability that gives a chance for coins to be in the urns, and I didn't know there was a visual indicator for it yet. So like you can see right there and right here, I'm kind of just destroying urns for no reason. But that's just something that was an easy fix, I just didn't know. So the biggest thing in my opinion you'd want to work on as a new player is collecting items that will help you in the long term. And what I mean by that is there are items that help you in the short term, like just for the run you're doing, and items that help you in the long term, which is permanently over multiple runs. So let's get into some of the items you'll be looking for. So you'll be wanting to look for darkness, which you use to upgrade your abilities, and this is what it looks like. You're also going to want to look for gemstones. This is what that looks like, and that's going to help you basically make renovations, which can affect either cosmetically the house of Hades, or it can affect different rooms and different things within a run. So these are important too, and I'll let you just discover them on your own because you unlock more as you go, and I don't want to potentially spoil that because that gets unlocked over time, more options. The next thing you want to be looking for are chthonic keys, and this is what they look like. And what these do is they let you unlock new abilities to unlock with darkness afterwards, or they let you unlock new weapons if you still have weapons to unlock. So these are another big thing you want to be looking for. The final thing that you want to be looking for in terms of permanent upgrades is nectar. Now, nectar lets you increase your friendship with different gods throughout the game, and basically they'll give you a keepsake the first time you do. And I'm sure there's more when you level them up all the way. I actually still don't even know that myself. But you will get a keepsake which gives you some benefits within each run from that point forward if you decide to run their keepsake. Quickly before we continue, I was looking at the stats and noticed over 95% of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, so definitely go down and subscribe right now. I'm planning a lot more Hades videos, and I still have a couple more for Among Us for those of you who are here for Among Us content as well. Also, join my Discord. There's a bunch of people over there who are looking for more people to talk to, and I love to see everyone meeting each other and becoming friends. It's just a good, nice thing to see, especially with what's going on in the world. Also, I'm contemplating playing this game on Twitch, so I'll leave that in the description as well. Let me know in the comments if this is something you'd want to watch over on Twitch, because I'll definitely stream it if people are interested. Moving back into the tips. So now we're going to talk about the items that only affect the run you're currently in. So in my opinion, these should be avoided early game, as you're not going to make it very far in the first few runs. You're not going to like beat the game or beat the final boss early on because you're not strong enough yet. So we're going to go over the items that aren't as influential early game. So the first one we're going to talk about is the Daedalus Hammer. This is what it looks like, and it's probably the strongest single game item in the entire game, at least from where I am right now, which is much further along than what you're seeing on screen. Basically, it gives your weapon some sort of special attribute or special upgrade that you wouldn't otherwise get without the hammer, and they're all pretty darn good. I mean, some of them are not great, but most of them are really good. So, but again, early game, you're not really worried about beating the final boss. You're not even gonna make it that far, probably. The next one we'll talk about is Charon's Obol, or just gold, as most people call it. This basically lets you buy stuff from shops. It's exactly what you'd expect it to be. It only lasts the one run. Once you die, you lose all your gold, and then when you start a new one, you'll start at 0. There are some upgrades that could let you start with a couple, but they're pretty uninfluential, so don't worry about that. Next up, we have the Centaur Heart, which is another strong one in my opinion. It allows you to increase your maximum health by 25 for the remainder of your run. I definitely like this one when you get further along. I know some of my buddies actually don't like this one very much. They prefer other items instead, but that's what it does. It gives you some extra health for the rest of the run. The next one we have is the Palm of Power, which basically upgrades one of your boons to the next level, which can be really good, but it's always going to be a random 3. Like with most things, you have a random, assortment of 3 different things. The difference is it's 3 things that you have, so if you have less than 3 boons, you'll know which one's going to give you, because if you only have 2, you know which 2 it's going to show you. But it's probably, it's pretty good. It's not great, it's not terrible, it's just kind of there. The last thing I'll show you, this one I'm not going to show an image for, because every god has a different emblem for, what their emblem is. But essentially, you can go into rooms and get a boon from a god, which actually you see on screen right now. I just helped Zeus out, and now he's giving me a boon. I pick one, and I get it. And it's elemental. There's a bunch of different effects from different gods. I'll probably end up making a video in the future about which ones are the best, which ones are the worst. So most of them have at least one really good one. Some of them are overall pretty bad, but have probably the best one in the game, in my opinion. So I might go into that in another video, because there's a lot to unpack there. But those are the items you'll be essentially not avoiding, but kind of steering away from for the most part, because you want to focus on getting your character upgraded as far as you can as quickly as possible. You don't want to focus on single runs. The next thing I want to quickly go into is knowing what to pick when you're at a fork in the road. Sometimes at the end of a chamber, you'll have a choice between different things. So it can be darkness and keys, and you have to pick which room you want to go into. Now, this is really up to you. It depends on what you're trying to do currently. So let's say you have an ability you want to upgrade because it looks really good and you need darkness for it, go for darkness. If you want to unlock a new weapon, you get a key, etc., etc. But there is one additional thing to keep in mind that took me a little while to pick up. It's pretty obvious once you know it, but if you're not paying attention like I wasn't when I started, you might not notice it. There is actually an icon that can appear right next to the reward in that orb that shows you what's in the next room. And if it looks like it has the little skull on it, or it has like a skull and arrows, there's a couple different icons for it, and I'm sure some of them mean it's more challenging than the next, but essentially, rooms that have nothing are like standard rooms. They're going to be pretty simple, pretty easy. And then if you see a skull, or you see something with like an arrow pointing upwards, it's going to be more difficult. So, if it's 2 things you think are pretty similar in, like, let's say it's darkness and keys, and you're really fine with either, you need both, you're pretty excited about getting both, so you have to pick one. If one of them has this icon, maybe you pick the one that doesn't have the icon, because it'll be easier, you'll take less damage, you're less likely to die. That's just, again, something I didn't know right out the gate that I wish I did. It's not huge, but it can make a difference if you're pretty indifferent on which room you want to pick. The next one's more of a general tip. I believe it tells you on the menu screen, at least the first 2 times you open the game, it suggests to use a controller, which I would probably agree with. I haven't gotten to use my controller yet. I didn't have a long enough micro USB to use my Xbox controller. For some reason, the Bluetooth on it's janky. It wouldn't really connect or stay connected, so I didn't get a chance. But I can tell you from my experience, melee weapons would probably be better on controller, because using your ability, which is bound to Q, and then moving, sometimes you need to move left and use your Q, and you want to do it at the same time. But on a controller, I assume it's much easier to do that. However, with ranged weapons, which I won't reveal the name of any of them other than the bow, because you get that super, super early, using mouse and keyboard is actually probably better, because you can aim much better. So it actually is more of a preference thing, but I would assume with melee weapons, most people would have a better time using controller, while with ranged, probably more people would have a good time with keyboard and mouse. Now, I know this was pretty basic, and that's kind of the premise. This is meant for beginners. It's meant to not have spoilers, or hardly any, not really revealing anything past the first 90 minutes or so, maybe 2 hours. If you have any beginner tips and you want to share them in the comments below, if you disagree with something I said, that's fine. If you want to let people know and give them the reasoning behind it, try to keep it spoiler free. I'm hoping this video will reach new players who maybe don't want the game spoiled, or parts later in the game spoiled. So, but if you want to leave a tip and say this is why I think this without giving spoilers, definitely do. I bet it helps everyone who goes down and looks. So yeah, expect more videos on Hades in the near future. But that's going to be it for me for now. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in another video, and until then, see you soon.